What is going on, Av Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about something important. A question that I get a lot, and I never actually made an official video in regards to this specific question, so I guess I'm finally going to go ahead and tackle it. Should you never mix intermittent fasting diet? And by that I mean doing the 16-8 Monday through Friday, and then doing something like one meal a day, Saturday and Sunday. Would that be a disruptor of some sort, and will that slow down your progress? Well, I'm going to go ahead and break it down in this video. Stay tuned. Quickly before we start, this video is brought to you by yours truly, Fledge Fitness and the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic event, our jump ropes have sold out, but the Fledge Fitness team is looking at a mid-June release. So the jump ropes should be back by that time, and with this ergonomic design, aluminum handle, and price tag of only $16.50, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. For the first time ever, I'm allowing pre-orders so you can lock your order in. You can either click on the top right-hand corner or the link will be down in the description below. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Now, should you never mix intermittent fasting protocols between doing one protocol on the weekdays or one protocol on the weekends, or even interjecting them on a daily basis? For example, doing something on Monday, something different on Tuesday, something different on Wednesday, etc., etc. Now, to get it completely out of the way, you can mix intermittent fasting protocols if you want. You can do that. You will still gain benefits from intermittent fasting, but are there pros and cons to doing it? There are. And I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it right now. For example, one of the cons of doing this is the fact that you may create difficulty adjusting on a weekly basis. And what do I mean by this? Well, when you do intermittent fasting, if you've ever done it for a good amount of time, maybe even just a month, you'll notice that there is an adjustment period. And that adjustment period normally takes about 2 to 3 weeks. You'll notice that after that time, your body becomes completely adjusted to the protocol. And by completely adjusted, it means that when it's time to eat, is generally when you actually feel hungry. So whatever your window is actually dictates your ghrelin secretion because you've created a new rhythm. So if you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, so morning, early afternoon meal, and late dinner, your body will feel hungry during those times. So when you're trying to get into an intermittent fasting protocol, it's pretty tough in the beginning because of that hormonal rhythm. But once you break yourself out of it, the new hormonal rhythm is what you've created for yourself. So if it's breaking your fast at 4 p.m., for example, you will find that you tend to be hungry at 4 p.m. or around that time as you're closing in on 4 p.m. So what does this mean? When you start to implement different intermittent fasting protocols, like for example, doing one meal a day on one of the days of the week, and then doing 16-8, which is 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating on one of the days during the week. These are drastically different protocols. Now, is that to say that it will automatically stump you? No, but are there higher probabilities of it? Yes. Now, if you wanted to do this, I usually err on the side of reversing everything as much as you can in terms of being able to fast for a longer period of time versus for a shorter period of time. And by that, I mean, if you're gonna do something like Monday through Friday, 16-8, and then OMAD Saturday and Sunday, you're really not putting a detriment to your fasting protocol because you're going from a shorter fasting period to a longer fasting period and back to a shorter fasting period. So if you want your anchor to be 16-8, but every weekend you want to go ahead and do OMAD, then that will work perfectly for you. As long as your OMAD falls within the time range of when you actually would have broken your fast with the 16-8. For example, if you eat from 1 to 9, but then you decide to do your OMAD at 4 or at 3 or at 6 or at 7 for that 1 hour eating period. You're within the range of when you would have eaten anyways during the 16-8. This way you keep the flow of the hours of when you eat so you're not hungry outside of your window. Definitely try not to eat outside of your normal window when you are decreasing your eating time. For example, the WarMad diet that I like to implement has a flexibility to it, but essentially it's just the warrior diet of 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating, but just making sure that I'm always eating within the same 4 hours. Even if I do one meal a day one day, I decide to eat within that 4 hour time frame. That way I never have to readjust. I'm always at least during the warrior diet, and at most doing 1 meal a day. So anchoring with a bigger eating window will always keep the hormonal secretion within that range anyways, so you don't have to worry about breaking that rhythm. Now, if you're always doing OMAD, but you decide on the weekends to do the 16-8, this is where it can become a con, because now you are extending your time of eating. And if you're using it to actually eat throughout the 8-hour time frame, it will definitely affect you. You are now doing 2 consecutive days outside of that 1-hour eating window. It'll be much harder to stick to the OMAD protocol. And many times a lot of people fail to do their protocols and then just completely go off the rails for that day because they felt that they've already messed up. And this can continue to compound. Since you've done 2 days of 16-8 that led to your Monday failure that made you just eat outside of your window because you've already failed, which is now 3 days of not doing the intermittent fasting protocol that you normally do. And that just becomes a slippery slope. Ghrelin and leptin release starts to become used to this, and then that can affect you negatively. So always understand that the better anchor is always an anchor where it's a longer eating window versus a shorter eating window where you kind of want to push it. So you always want to use the weekends to push it a little bit more than to reduce it a little bit more or to relax it a little bit more. And the other thing that I want to talk about is adherence. Adherence is literally the most important thing, which is why I put it at the end, because adherence is what lends to its pro and its con. It's literally both fused into one, because if the protocol of doing 1 meal a day every day, but then doing 16-8 Saturday and Sunday works for you, and it's what makes you sane and makes you stick to the protocol, then that's the best protocol to do, because you are fasting for longer throughout the week simply because of your intermittent fasting design. You have more 23-hour fasts throughout the week with 2 16-hour fasts. It will work in your favor. And if you can flow with that, if you actually completely adjust your body to flow with being able to do that, doing the 16-8 and then going back into the 1 meal a day, then you're golden. The most important thing is adherence. Adherence is always going to be the #1 thing. Adherence is so important that if intermittent fasting is something that you cannot adhere to, then you should look for another protocol or another diet completely to reduce weight or maintain weight loss. Adherence is what matters more than anything. It's very easy to lose weight. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people may not have lost weight and it's hard, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a wake-up call. If you haven't lost weight, if weight loss is pretty difficult for you, once you do lose that weight, congratulations, and that's a really good thing. But the more difficult thing is going to be an actual weight control after you've lost the weight. Because studies show that most people can lose weight, but the study shows that most people that lose weight actually regain their weight back. So the most important thing when it's all said and done is, if this protocol, even if you're splicing different intermittent fasting regimens because it just works for you, does this protocol make adherence better for you? Can you stick to it because you're breaking it up, because you're making it more dynamic? Does it work for you in that aspect? If it does, then 100% stick to whatever protocol you're doing, whatever splice you're doing of intermittent fasting, OMAD versus 16-8, all of that, go ahead and do it. And now, just to completely end this elephant in the room in terms of what happens, is it a detriment to me? Am I not burning as much? Am I burning as much? 16-8 is a very good intermittent fasting protocol. In my last video, I talked about how good it is and how many studies are backing 16-8. OMAD is also good because it extends the fasting period from 16-8 from 16 hours to 23 hours. The warrior diet, same thing, it extends it from 16 to 20. It's all good. You can go ahead and mix them. It's not going to disrupt what's happening in terms of the hormonal excretions when it comes to insulin sensitivity, when it comes to the oxidative stress reduction, when it comes to autophagy, when it comes to IGF-1 increase. All of those things are still going to be clicking on all cylinders the way they normally would. If you were to do 16-8 and interject OMAD, it's all going to work. Doing one fasting protocol one day and then doing one fasting protocol the other doesn't cancel each other out or create any type of negative disruption. So please get that out of your mind. The most important thing is, can you do this for the rest of your life? Because if you can't answer the question as yes, then you're gonna have to rethink what you're doing. And it hangs mostly, and I would say 95%, on that one question. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. And of course, as always, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon. I'm gonna go ahead and put their names right up here. As always, guys, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace.